You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
Lounge. I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Howdy ho, everybody.
Hey, Greg Hectus.
How's it going, everybody?
Hey, we're here. On today's show, we welcome special guest Jeff Marble, administrator of the Fast Track Sim Racing League and OG iRacing beta tester. Then we'll move on to a surprise mid-season update that you won't want to miss.
And remember, guys, you can follow along with us on your PC or mobile device in real time as you listen to the show and see for yourself all the great topics and products we'll discuss by visiting iRacersLounge.com and selecting the show notes. Hope to see you there.
GridFinder 2.0 is bigger and better than ever, with more ways to narrow your search for your next sim racing league. Featuring over 1,000 leagues from over 25 racing sims across every platform, your place on the grid is just a couple clicks away. Visit www.grid-finder.com to find a league or to upload your own. GridFinder is the home of online sim racing leagues.
All right, guys, that was a really cool interview with Jeff Marble there. A couple things that I wanted to talk about real quick was that I love these throwbacks to the originations of iRacing, and him being a beta tester was really cool. I'd love to have been a beta tester back in the day, and something that I didn't know is that I didn't know that in the beta tester phase that you could run from the hood. I always thought that you were always bound to the cockpit. So that was really neat to hear. It was really cool to hear Jeff talk about his long history with iRacing. And then then after the beta test, he didn't even sign up. But the subscription-based gaming at that point was fairly a new concept.
Unheard of.
Yeah, it was a new concept. So NASCAR Racing 2003 was still fairly strong at that point. So I can understand why he went back to that. But you could tell that once he got into the cockpit, where you're supposed to be sitting in the seat of the car, everything changed. It becomes more simulation than game at that point. And what a great league. What a great guest. Thanks, Jeff, for sticking by and hanging out with us.
Yeah, it takes a special breed to run a league. It's like herding cats, and trust me, all of us on this team have thought about starting up a league and getting it going, but just the initial planning is impossible. So kudos to Jeff and his team over there at Marble Racing. They've done a great job with the fast track sim racing.
All right, guys, so let's jump into topics. This first one came out earlier, or at the end of last week or early this week. I can't remember, but it came out where iRacing posted a Instagram video of the rendering of the top of the new Mount Washington hill climb circuit. And it was a neat interview. It showed the top of the mountain, which is, just rock and gravel, no trees like we had seen in some of the earlier pictures that were really cool. And Barney was at the top waving his flag and wearing a special, like a checkered suit. His whole suit is all checkered. It was really, really neat little introduction teaser video.
Yeah, I loved it. It really shows how bumpy it is up there near the top too. The road, elevations going up and down, up and down. Interesting video, a neat teaser. And then all of a sudden, boom, iRacing made the surprise mid-season release of that track, Mount Washington Hill Climb. They posted an official introduction video featuring course record holder Travis Pastrana.
Yeah, that was really cool because in the video, the teaser video, he's flying up that hill, and it's either somebody, obviously somebody from iRacing driving it, or somebody who really knows what they're doing on that hill. And dang, if it wasn't the record holder, Travis Pastrana, he was flying up the hill. He was at the very end of the video saying, giving his kudos to iRacing and saying, come join him on Mount Washington.
Kudos to iRacing for always getting the right people involved in the right projects. I mean, you look at when they introduced dirt and it was Christopher Bell doing the testing. You look at when they did rally car, it was Travis Pastrana, it was Scott Speed, it was the people that actually do it. Now here we are with this point-to-point, mountain, time event, I guess is what you would call it, what I would call it. And of course, they're going to get the record holder, Travis Pastrana, to come in, take some laps, get a video of it, to promote the big race, which the actual race, I believe, is this weekend.
Yeah, I was totally blindsided when this came out. I did not see this coming this early. I know that was their goal to get it before the actual race, but it just didn't seem like there was enough hype about it being released for it to drop so quickly. And man, when I didn't even notice until I got home to start editing the script today that I saw that it was out, and I was like, man, I want to get this like right now, but I had too much work to do. As soon as this podcast is over, man, I'm downloading that bad boy.
I think it's interesting that now we're not having to wait till the season builds to get a lot of these things. There's these quick surprises that we get mid-season or to the end before we get that to, even enjoy it when the event's about to happen. Like you're saying, it came out, if it's this weekend, then we get to enjoy trying the track. And if you wanted to, I don't know, you probably can tune into the event televised somewhere, but I like that we're not waiting every 12 weeks, 13 weeks to get something.
Well, these content projects, Greg, are increasingly having delivery dates that coincide with real-world events. Like this one is a perfect example. They're running this weekend. They want to get the track out before the event happens. It doesn't coincide with their 13-week cycle, so they just put it out early or late, or however you want to look at it. And so to see a software company to be that agile, to be able to, work outside of their normal procedures, which I'm sure drives a lot of those project managers crazy who try to manage that stuff. It's pretty neat that they're able to pull it off.
And this seems to be more of a thing that, a benefit to us as, subscribers because of the pandemic, right? Like before that, we weren't getting this type of thing, but now everything seems to be more up to date for the time frames. Like it's just we're not waiting as long. It just seems like this is the benefit we've gotten from going into this pandemic the last 2 years.
What I think I like about this is it's like a whole different game or a whole different sim, however you want to say it. But I've always thought, I want to get Dirt Rally and try that, point-to-point racing, a separate title from iRacing. And I never have, but now I don't need to. I can use this. I can try this. This would fill that void. I'm probably going to buy it just for that reason, and try it. I'm already intrigued seeing some of the fast times that have been posted on social media so far. Now, one of the first videos to come out, like literally as the track was released, Nick Neben had a video out on his YouTube channel of him taking the track. And I watched it, I think, during my lunch break. And it was the first video that I've seen, that went from the bottom clear to the top. iRacing had put out some videos that are like highlights, but it didn't show the whole track all at once. So it was cool to see Nick go up that in a rally car. He went really slow because, obviously he's learning the track and didn't want to crash in the middle of the video. But it's interesting to kind of see how the vegetation changes. You got real big trees at the bottom, then it thins out and you get shorter trees. And then, like Brian said at the top, there's no trees at all. It's just rock.
Up to 100 miles an hour there.
I think we were talking about, Tony was bringing this up after he had tested it out. It's awesome that, you can watch a track. We're used to night-day transitions type thing, but now it's the scenery transitions as you go up in altitude.
And the trees look so good, in the videos. The new tree model and all that. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, details about that. Nick Nieben also did a second video of his descent from the top. So there's two configurations. You go up or you go down. But he did a down in the Formula V, and he just turned the engine off and he coasted it soapbox derby style.
There's a league or a special race there for you,
That's cool, huh?
Just a soapbox style. You can't turn your engine on. See who has the best drift time down the hill. That's a special event for you right there.
Right. Who can be off the brake the less, without wrecking. He spun out a couple times in the attempt, but it's just stuff like that I never even considered. Hey, that actually looks like fun, to trying to see what kind of time I can get just coasting down the mountain.
I wonder how difficult that is. With a car, you don't have any engine brake then to kind of slow it. You're just using brakes or momentum to try and slow it down. There is no, motor's not helping you, and that's probably really makes it difficult and loose in some corners, and that's why you're saying you spun out.
So I have some content that I didn't get added to the script in time, but one of them is a tweet by Emily Jones. She said, I managed to get up the Mount Washington hill climb in 4 minutes, 33.5 seconds, thanks to the very scary IR01. Probably shaved multiple years off my life. Definitely recommend. So fast times are already being put up, guys. 4:33.5 in the jet car.
So she's saying it takes some years off her life. So are we starting to get the pucker moments here because of you don't want to put it off the edge or things like that? Is that why people are kind of it's giving you a different sensation? You got walls and stuff you crash into when you're on the track, but when you're on this, it's like, oh, don't go over the edge or something, right?
Right. Well, my first question to Tony, very first question was, what happens when you send it off the edge of the cliff? You get to go flying? And he's like, no, it resets right away. Now, it doesn't reset to the bottom. They have it resets to the last checkpoint that you went through. Kind of like that real long track where it doesn't always reset at the beginning.
Yeah, actually, in Nick Nieben's video, he did that. He actually went off too far off track. It wasn't super far either before he would reset back to the last checkpoint.
iRacing also put up a Twitter about Reddit user HWF0712 actually took the 410 dirt car up the mountain, and he's got a picture of the dirt car at the checkered flag.
Yeah, you could get some pretty crazy combinations, I would think, on this. And what class does this track go into? Is it road oval? Road dirt, road or what for licensing?
That's a great question. I have no idea, to tell you the truth.
It's almost like its own category now, I would think. If they keep doing these rallies, you would think it would become its own category. But wow, what a great release, man. And think about it. We've never even heard an inkling of a whiff of this thing up until about 2 weeks ago, maybe, and it's out. That's like they kept this thing under wraps pretty tight. And
besides that sticker.
Yeah, you're right on the Formula V.
But it's good that they're not having the leaks. If it's something that they want to bring out and show us, it gets ruined if somebody's already talking about it. It's kind of just crazy that you can just drop it and then a couple weeks later you're dropping the whole the whole thing.
Yeah, it's obviously been in the works for quite some time.
Yeah, so, I mean, sometimes we have months and months of heads up of something's coming. That they tease that they're scanning this place or this place. So it's coming after the scanning. But this came out of absolutely nowhere up until about 2 weeks ago.
I'm really interested to see how something like this. This is probably still going to be a work in progress for a while with this. But when they add their weather patterns and if we get rain and stuff added to it, I'm just wondering how much more interesting some of these something like this would be down the road. You could have rain in a certain part of it, or can they figure out how to change it into a different type? Was the higher you go up for as a Canadian here, what happens if it snows or something? You have that up top.
Well, I think there's a lot of unknowns. Like Brian said, I mean, how does it affect licensing, SR, IR? How do you compare yourself to others? I mean, I was thinking about stats, and I mean, you run it and you pull up the stat page and it's just you and it shows your time. Is there going to be a place on the website or the UI where you can see the best times? Or I mean, all those kind of things I think are still unanswered.
Like, what happens, do they make this an official event or something that you can sign up for, and say they just pick a random car each week? Say they have a 12-week series and have a different car, and you sign up for it, and everybody does, one up, one down, and you're ranked depending on that for just that event for the day. So you kind of just depends on who you're against.
Based on ranking, and you have some kind of championship. I mean, there's a lot of good ideas like that to get people to run it. I mean, yeah.
I just, for me, I want to see how this goes. I know, Brian, you said you're interested in trying it. I just don't know if I'm going to purchase it until I see what their plans are with it. I don't see going up and going down. I like racing people, but I mean, for me, who's usually a good qualifier, hot lap setter, if I could learn this, maybe it'd be good. But I just don't know what the benefit of it for now to someone like me that doesn't want to. I don't see an interest in it yet.
Well, but Greg, I mean, if I told you there was a Steam sale, you could get Dirt Rally for $14.95.
I don't have Dirt Rally, even if you tell me that. It's just like I said, I want to see where this is going and see what they create from this.
Like, what's next? What would be the next track, right?
Well, and that kind of brings us into the next topic here. We all wonder, okay, we got one hill climb. Are we going to get the biggest named hill climb in the world, the Pike's Peak hill climb? And there's an article in GT Planet talking about this, but it looks like the one in GT Planet points out here that Gran Turismo is pretty much the license holder of that, so that kind of might hold them back from being able to scan and do something like this, because it's been in their games for many, many years, and I know they have an upcoming game, so who knows how long that license is for.
Yeah, this article is actually quite old, from 2017. And I don't know if the exclusivity still holds with Gran Turismo, but they were talking on the forums and stuff and Reddit about how this would be probably the reason that we're not going to get Pikes Peak in iRacing.
Well, like I said, they have an upcoming Gran Turismo game that's supposed to be out in the next year or so. So I'm guessing if it's going to be in it, then I'm guessing they're still licensed to it, right?
I would assume so.
See the picture here too, Mike, that you got? That type of car right there is something I would expect iRacing needs to scan for the hill climb. That's like, when I think of the hill climbs, that's the type of cars that I would think of as a hill climb car. I mean, everything can hill climb, but that's what I think of when I see a hill climb.
I think the go-to car is going to be the rally car, right?
I'm trying to think. What was it was a Suzuki something was like the most, the biggest known car for the hill climbs for Pikes Peak for years back in the day. We used to always have that in Gran Turismo.
Sorry, Brian, to interrupt there. What were you saying?
No, I was just saying that that's a specialty type of hill climb car that's not in the service, like Greg was saying, and yeah, I think if they're going to be serious about this form of racing and think about doing other versions of it, and that would probably be something they might want to consider adding to give it a little bit more authenticity.
Yep. But, you think if they were doing the car, they would do the car and the track at the same time. Remember when they did North Wilkesboro and the 87 at the same time? And that makes sense, and it would make sense in this case if they were going to do the car, that it came out at the same time. The fact that the track is out and we don't have a car kind of makes me think we're not getting that car. We'll try the jet car, the IR01. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try the rally car. I think the rally car would be the one to try to learn the track, maybe. Or maybe even a slower car. I was thinking even the Formula V or the Mazda or something like that. And that way you can really kind of learn the track at a slower speed before you start. I just think if you're in a fast car trying to learn the track, you're going to be off the track more than you're on it. And did I ever think we would be talking about point-to-point racing and iRacing? I didn't.
It's just like I said, the way you kind of say it there, Mike. It's like point to point. I just don't understand yet how the iRacing platform can take advantage of this, other than being like time trial wise, right? That's what I mean. How do you
get people involved? Because you're just by yourself. You can't race other people. You're just putting up a time. You're going to probably look at times against other times after. I could see that get boring pretty quick.
Well, it's like, all you can do is get faster and faster each time if you get more used to it. But the guys that are going to be fast, they always do it. It's like qualifying. You just over and over, you do it. And some people are not going to be fast, but you don't get a chance to do something else in it to try and get better. There's nobody to race. There's no events to happen unless somebody crashes type thing or whatever when you're doing these events. I don't understand how the iRacing platform works with it yet, and that's what I want to look forward to seeing what they do with it.
And, can you vary the conditions to get a better time? And the other thing I was thinking is, how long will it be before we have the fastest time, that nobody can eclipse? Like some alien will put up a time, from Finland or somewhere, where they're used to running these things. And, or a professional, one of the professionals will put up a time. And, I bet you we have that time within 7 days of this track being released.
Well, and so we say we set a time right now that's fastest in a certain car, and then all of a sudden that car's BOP goes down, and it never get a chance to go up to that speed again because they take in balance of power or something. If it's a certain car away from an update, right? Then that time is moot, right? You're never gonna get to it if the car's taking power away from it or grip or something, right?
Or the perfect weather package, the right humidity, the right temperature, the right wind. So what was that time that girl said she did was 4:33.5, I think it was.
And you said she did it in the rocket car?
Yeah.
Your rocket car?
So that's one of the fastest cars on the service, so.
No wonder it took years off her life, is what you're saying. That would have been a fast time.
So there's a goal of 4:33.5, and so, yeah, maybe I'll buy the track tonight, and that's what I'll try.
All right, guys, so let's get back off the mountain and we'll talk about some other topics here. The VRS European Endurance Series is going to return for Season 4 with its well-known 6-hour race format every other week. So it's scheduled based on the European Sprint Series and will utilize the same class lineup with the LMP1s, LMP2s, and GTEs. It will alternate weeks with new IMSA Endurance Series and use the same time slot. So this is the series where they snuck in the 24 hours of Le Mans, pretty much, and it's going to be back for Season 4. So if all those endurance racing fans out there, you're going to get 6 more races in Season 4 coming up. So stand by.
So, see if I can follow this because I'm not really one of the participants, but they had a 6-hour series and they changed it to a 24-hour series so they could accommodate the 24-hour of Le Mans. And now that the race is over, they're going to put it back the way it was.
Exactly. So this seems to be like their way to get around that 24-hour Le Mans that they weren't able to hold as a special event for sure. It's just to do it for that one season. It just seems like it was timed just perfectly for that Le Mans race.
Hey, all the 24-hour one, it seemed like it brought a bunch of people out though. Like, I kind of like the idea of the 24-hour one because it's the team aspect. The 6-hour one, you got 2 guys usually you take it on and it's to go, but it was every other couple weeks that it forced some guys to get together and go and have some fun. I know David and I have picked certain events to race. He raced one without me, but it's, you can pick and choose. The 6-hour one is actually probably going to be pretty good, but I kind of like the 24-hour option there. Maybe it was just a test too, but it was a good way to disguise the 24 hours of Le Mans and get around it. And now they can do whatever they want. Maybe they were seeing it trail off at the 6 hours here, or the 24-hour events are trailing off near the end of the season here, and maybe this is their idea to see if they can get people back into the 6-hour one. Because I know the 6-hour one was hard to get people crazy about too.
One of the questions that came up in the thread was, why don't we just have a special events championship that has all the 24-hour races in it? And Greg West did post and with James Andrew too. Basically, they can't do it that way because the cars and classes for each of those races are actually different.
Yeah, that's a good point. My guess is probably the after Le Mans, that 24-hour series probably dropped off pretty significantly. Once
Spa was pretty big too.
Was it? Yeah, well, that's true. But I mean, to have a 24-hour series in regular rotation, in perpetuity, just, I don't know. That's a lot of commitment there.
And so this was called the VRS European Endurance Series. Now, this was the one formerly known as the Le Mans Series, right?
Well, yeah, I think the big problem is some people like it's the difference in the events and the cars. Like, people love the 6 hours of Watkins Glen or Petit Le Mans, which is 12 hours at Road Atlanta. I think the idea of having back and forth series is the, or distance is probably good, but like you said, Mike, the cars always are different for the classes. Like, even if you did the 24 hours of Daytona, they run LMP2s and they don't do the LMP1, but then you go to Le Mans or Spa or whatever, they do the LMP1 and the LMP2. It would be nice to have maybe just a 24-hour series that had those classes and maybe do, I don't know, run it like the NIS, run it as a 4-season event and have maybe 2 or 3 in each season, and then have a champion at the end so that you can space it out and people can, book their weekends that they need to do these events or want to do these events. If there's a want for all these 24-hour races.
Okay, so let's continue the road schedule alignments. And so that's one of them. And so the next thing they announced was the GTE Endurance Series is now Imsa Endurance Series, starting in Season 4. This change will also include a format change. Car and track selection will mirror that of the regular Imsa Series. The Imsa Endurance Series will feature 2-hour, 40-minute team events every 2 weeks using the same time slots as the current GTE Endurance Series, which is Saturday, 7 and 1800 GMT, and then Sunday, 1400 GMT.
It's kind of a shame that David's not here tonight, because I would like to see what he thinks of this, because this might be something that him and I would participate more in, because the 2-hour 40-minute team event is kind of more of a pleasing distance, right? And we love the GTE cars,
right?
But that's pretty cool that they got IMSA's sponsoring that type thing now, and they've gone away from I think they have an endurance. The other endurance series is an hour long. Or no, it's not endurance. It's something else. I can't remember what it's called, but it was European series as well. That was an hour long. That's LMPs and GTEs that David likes to run. I wonder if this is just an extra one to add the extra 2 hours 40 minutes.
Well, every 2 weeks, it's kind of spread out. So I like that idea. And, it's got this NIS feel to it. NIS is a long, 36-week season. Well, IMSA has a long season too, and this is going to follow that, that schedule alignment, I guess.
Well, I guess we got one more endurance update here, but it's kind of more of a charity event. So they got the 12 hours of the Red Bull Ring. They're calling it the 12 hours of Red Bull Ring charity event. So that's just taking place Saturday, August 28th. It's the inaugural event, and they're calling it to benefit the Star Thrower Group for supporting and awareness for adults with special needs and disabilities. The race is going to begin at 9 a.m. Eastern, following a 15-minute practice and a 10-minute single-car open qualifying. The event will feature 3 classes: GTE or GT3, GT4, and the TCR. If you visit ring12hr.weebly.com for more info. Be interesting to see. I wonder if David will want to run this with me, and maybe see if we get some of those other guys that we road races it with.
That's a newer track, Greg. You have that one already?
I actually have it. I think one of the sports car series is at it this week, so I think that's what I was going to get, so I can drive my Porsche at it this weekend. I love that track just because of the Red Bull name and everything.
Yeah, this is not an iRacing event. This is, an event somebody's putting together for charity. And so obviously, we want to talk about it. Braden Hill was on the forum trying to get people to sign up. He said there are still spots available. Please spread the word.
All right, guys. This next one comes from the forums, where Michael Bowen asks, "Hey, why won't the H pattern shifter work in the new next gen car as an option? It's grayed out when he tries to switch from the sequential to the H pattern shifter, and well, that's because you can't use an H pattern shifter in the new next gen car. It's got to be sequential. So they don't even give you the option of using an H pattern shifter. You'd have to have a 5-speed H pattern shifter too, just if you had that option. But it looks like they're going to be be strictly adhering to the sequential shifters in that. So, you have the paddle shifter option if you have paddle shifters on your wheel, or of course, if you have an actual sequential shifter, you can use that.
So, stupid question. I don't know if you know the answer though, but if I had a wheel with no paddles and I only had an H pattern for shifting, I wouldn't be able to shift?
You would do what you do when yours breaks. You'd have to use your keyboard.
Damn.
Well, can you program an H pattern shifter in sequential mode by just like shifting third would be to
third and fourth, yeah.
Fourth to shift down.
The problem is you have to manually bring it back to the center.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
I don't know if it triggers thinking when you go back to center, does it think something different? I've never tried doing the H pattern in sequential for it, but I just think if you move it back to center, like that's a lot of extra work too. If you pull back, push it to center, what happens if you go forward all of a sudden by accident taking it out?
So,
yeah.
Okay, so riddle me this. So I'm in the regular Cup car, the current Cup car, which is an H pattern, and I don't have an H pattern, but I can use my sequential. Why does it work that way? Works one way, but it doesn't work the other?
Probably because it was grandfathered in because of all the stuff that wasn't available at the time, and now they're just doing it to be, who doesn't have paddle shifters now?
What I'm saying is my sequential shifter has worked on every car I've driven since I've gotten it. So, if there's, I just guess I don't understand why that works and the H pattern doesn't work. What's the logic?
That actually takes me back to the interview with Jeff Marble earlier, where he was talking about next season, whether they would do a hybrid between the current car and the next gen car, how the league would handle that. And man, I'm petitioning OBRL right now to just keep the current car. Don't switch to that next gen car. It's junk for one. And the sequential shifter, that's not that big a deal. But the car's junk right now. So unless they really tune it to where it's fun to race, I'd much rather stay in the old cars. As many problems as that has on its own.
The Cup car will be fine next year by the time we get to it. There's too many worrying. This is the same argument I hear from Jeff about the road racing guys. The guys that don't like to do other road racing on the fast track side, they're bitching and complaining about that. And do they not want to run the kart? Well, either you're authentic or you're not. Maybe next season. I mean, they've been talking on Door Bumper Clear about they think it possible that they do what they did with the COT where they run half the race, run a couple select races with the next gen and have the old gen. But I don't see that happening nowadays with the way that the word has come out with that new car. But I don't know. I hope that we just go straight to the next gen and run it like we're supposed to. So we're not jumping around, building sets, finding sets, doing things like that. Because I don't, Mike, it's like we don't spend a lot of time on our sets, right? We kind of just get in and race and enjoy those types of things. I don't want to be switching cars every week and things like that. We race in there because it follows their actual schedule, right?
Could they accommodate NIS like a schedule? Could it accommodate the kind of thing with where they're switching cars back and forth? Could we have a multi-car event?
I will say you are right that we don't spend a lot of time on the sets.
Just changing a ballast doesn't mean that you actually did the set. Hi, David.
Well, even you talk about DBC, Greg. They even had on their show, man. It's like, we got too many road courses. There's too many road courses.
I don't disagree with them. I love the road courses. We hopped into one last night and run it. And Mike, you had barely any practice on it. I've done the track in different cars, and then I raced it last night. I had fun.
Right.
I don't see the need for all the road courses, but the new next gen car is built for running that type of stuff, right? So I don't know how the road racing will be in those cars. I'm sure I honestly feel that next year you're going to have 6 more road courses. It's probably going to happen again. It's probably going to be the same or one different. But, you know, I don't disagree. We probably should run, I don't know, maybe 3 max that we were doing, but maybe change what road courses each year so they're not, you know, stale. But it sounds like we might lose Sonoma or something at some point anyways.
Okay, so some listener out there, answer my riddle. Why can I use a sequential on an H-pattern car, but I can't use an H-pattern on a sequential car?
Here, Mike, I'll put it simple. iRacing doesn't want you to, so it doesn't happen. That's pretty straightforward, I guess, right? If they blank out the option for you to press it, it's easy to do it. I guess one thing iRacing did want us to have access to is their new high-res Iracing Logos, which is actually really nice. To have these if you're going to use them for, you know, painting or anything stream-wise maybe. So staff member Ben Reagan posted in the forums these new high-res images, so you can go into the forums and download these and use them for whatever you would like to use them for.
Yeah, these have been around for a while. There are some newer versions of them on the page, and so, but yeah, it's iracing.com/resources/logos. Next up, another forum post. Brandon Holtmeyer commented in the forums what he thinks is the main issue he has with these new forums. Is you can't see the latest post in all the subforums. For anyone to even know that there is activity, you have to click into each one individually, which is going to lead to a lot of missed topics. It just seems that everything is buried so deep, and it's not very intuitive at all. There also doesn't seem to be an easy way to subscribe to a particular thread or to turn off notifications once you don't want them anymore. If there's a way to do this, I haven't seen it yet. I'd like to know. It kind of feels like Discord to me, where you'll hear these notifications in all the different servers, but you have no idea where they're coming from. And I wanted to read this post because I purposely have not put in my commentary about what I think of the forums, kind of waiting for somebody to say it for me. And this guy says it pretty well. The forums are not better than they were before. And that's an honest assessment. The old forums were pretty solid. I mean, there were a few, choice issues, but they were very few. Nowadays, like he said, I mean, if you're trying to keep up with what's going on, you're spending a lot more time clicking around, and to find everything. And so, just wanted to throw that one out there. I think it's nice that, they offloaded it to a third party so they don't have to fool with it and they can focus on what they're good at. But at the end of the day, it's a shame that it's gotten worse. It's a shame that it wasn't an upgrade and it was a downgrade.
Do you think, say 5 years from now, we'll even remember the old forums? Or, do you think this will get sorted out?
It's not much choice, is there? I mean, it is what it is.
Go ahead, David.
I said I think Mike will.
Mike has he only remembers 2 things. He hates the UI and he hates the new forums.
That's right. No, I mean, I'm trying to get by with the changes. We get a lot of our content for the show from the forums, and I'm probably spending about the same amount of time. But honestly, I've tried to get our content elsewhere. I've been trying to kind of migrate away from being dependent on the forums for topics because, like I said, it's just not fun to use. I mean, for example, if you comment on a particular thread, put in your 2 cents, guess what? From now on till the end of eternity, anytime anyone comments anything on that thread, you're going to get an email, and you can't stop it. And so you're going to get hundreds and hundreds of emails if you're on a very particular, popular topic. And it drives me crazy. I mean, I literally get, hundreds of emails a day off of topics I commented on when the forum started, and that, is long, was a long time ago, that I don't want to see anymore. And it's just crazy that I'm still getting those emails.
I wonder how much of it, as of now, that's been a deterrent for anybody, anybody that has your opinion on it, Mike. There's something that they really want to talk about in it or post in it, and they just don't because, they feel the same way. They don't want to get the emails or whatever, right? It stops somebody from posting, and that's not the idea of these forums, right?
Yeah, that's why I said it's a shame that it went the wrong way. I mean, it would have been great if it was, added functionality and it made it more mobile friendly, and because the old forums were not mobile friendly, that's for sure. And these are more mobile friendly, and that's one of the positives of the new forum. But overall, yeah, it's really hard to navigate.
Well, on the old forum, there actually was an app that I used that was pretty mobile friendly.
Right. People had to developed workarounds because iRacing, didn't have a mobile friendly version. And, are we going to see that with the new forums? I hope so.
All right, guys. So next up is the Season 3 patch 5. They released the release notes. Of course, the big reveal was Mount Washington, which we covered pretty well. There's a couple over car and track tweaks and modifications, but the one thing I really wanted to get into on this was the rendering that they have added to the simulation. They call it the Speed Tree simulation game engine. So it's a 3D vegetation modeling and rendering system designed for films and real-time games. So it provides the artists who work at iRacing the tools to build location-specific trees and then quickly place them at our racetracks. The system's engineered to render these trees efficiently and with built-in levels of detail, and has received specific customizations to make it work optimally for iRacing requirements. So, and this is one thing that Niban mentioned in his review when he rode up the mountain in his YouTube video, is that all these more high detail rendered trees are not taking he's not getting a hit on his system because of all this detailed rendering. So it's a really cool way that they're doing these trees now. It's so much more realistic. It's not causing system trouble or slowing down your frame rates, and they can use these trees on all the different tracks in the game, in the sim now. So really cool that they're doing it a different way that makes it more realistic, keeps the game stable, and it just makes the experience a little bit better.
So they say integrated speed tree, and to me that reads like speed tree is a third party, plug-in, so to speak, or a third party set of code or software that has already figured out the vegetation modeling and rendering, and they just bolted on to the iRacing system. That's kind of the way I read this, and it's really neat that we get a little behind the scenes about how they're engineering this. At this point, it looks like they haven't developed this from the ground up by themselves, and they turned to some other experts in the field. And when they had the 4 hours of Charlotte and Greg Hill was talking about it, he had said that they had invested in some technology to help them make this project work, and this is what I think they're talking about.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right, Mike. Because it does say that this system was designed for films as well as real-time games. So it definitely sounds like it was not something that was developed exclusively by iRacing, but they've used this system, this program, to integrate in their games, and it seems like it's going to work really well.
I wonder if it's kind of just like what they're using for, they got a different sound engine. It's got its own thing. They got this. I think we already have the LOD managers for like the cars in the world rendering, do we not, as a setting in the actual settings there for the graphics? Like you can prioritize for those. So this is kind of just an extra thing that's added for it. I wonder what something like, we got some old tracks that we know that are surrounded by a lot of trees. Like I think Lime Rock has a lot of vegetation around it. Is it Summit? I think Summit's the other one that you're driving through a lot of.
I was thinking Pocono.
Yeah, Pocono. That would be good down the backstretch and stuff like that. But I mean, there's a lot of these, some of these road courses can really benefit from, this upgrade down the road. But even the new stuff coming in, they'll have this engine probably added to it. And I think this is a great benefit just because visually, some of the outside stuff is not the greatest, but this can add some detail to it, and if it's not taking a load off your graphics card, why not, right?
When I'm in the Facebook groups, the sim racing ones, a common topic is, iRacing doesn't look good. It doesn't have good graphics, Man, this is taking a big old jump at that. It really is. I mean, this is upgrading that and putting those naysayers to silent. Kudos for iRacing on getting this going, and I'd like to see them backdate some of the older tracks, like you said. Go to Lime Rock, go to Pocono, add this software to that, and put up an updated version.
Because I even think like Montreal has a lot of vegetation. Monza. Like, there's a lot of these tracks that could really, really enhance the outer aesthetics of the track by this.
Now, one other thing on the release notes I want to point out, Rockingham and Texas, track grip parameters have been adjusted slightly, which leads us to our next topic.
Yeah, so Liam Brotherton posted in the forums, I guess Rockingham is coming up in the next Road to Pro, and he said it's always been one of the best multi-track surfaces in real life, but if they don't change something right now in the sim, it's going to be a one-groove aero push track. He's saying that they don't need the top to be fast, but viable in traffic to create runs and get alongside people for the race. I guess Tyler then posted this afterwards. Tyler Hudson replied, it's likely we'll see Rockingham surface update in the patch, as well as Texas likely be updated as well. And two of the tracks that are one grooved in this, I remember Rockingham always been one groove as well with this, and Texas definitely. Is Texas the next Road to Pro after Rockingham? Maybe is that why they're doing it on this?
It's one of the tracks coming up, I think.
So, iRacing has the ability to change track surface models real quickly like that. It's interesting to see how some of these tracks race compared to what this will do to fix Rockingham. But at least they did it now and not is the Road to Pros next week? So they get some time with it, right?
Is this a sim equivalent of putting down PJ1?
Possible. I mean, all they have to do is they could put grip wherever they want with a sim, right?
Well, I remember a story a few weeks ago about something about this, and they stated that it wasn't like PJ1. It was like it was different, but they weren't putting down particular parts of the track to be grippier than others. They were just changing, I think, the compound of the materials. But it's interesting.
Another thing is with BJ1.
Sorry, David, go ahead.
With BJ1, it wears out or can be washed off as well. It's a more dynamic chemical that can change as the race goes, compared to just changing the presets of a track.
So, what I think is cool is you got Liam, who's one of the stars out of the Road to Pro. I'm pretty sure. Basically saying, hey, we got a problem. They recognize the problem, they address the problem, and that's what the forums are good for. I mean, this is the good part of the forums is you can post when there's an issue, people will hear you, and they will adjust if necessary. And kudos to everyone involved for getting it done. Okay, next up, saw on Facebook a friend of mine, Brian Wertman, who is an iRacer. He is a spotter in NASCAR. He spots the 74 car. He was at Watkins Glen doing that. And he had posted up, a picture from him at the track. And so I replied to him on his Facebook post asking him a question about it. And I said, is there a way to describe how your iRacing stuff has enhanced your spotting skills? Has it been a factor? And he did reply, and I thought it was an interesting answer. He said, iRacing does help me get mentally prepared. I usually use the free roam cam, which is the Control F12, and then Control Z with the mouse. And then I move the camera to where I actually spot. So then I can see what I'll expect to see in real life.
I wonder if after we're listening to Door Bumper Clear this week, if he stands up there and marks his place with tape and stuff like that a couple days before.
Yeah, Monday afternoon, right?
Him and his transport truck driver got there early.
Yeah, Brett can have a fist fight with him.
Yeah, Brian Wertman is a great guy. I haven't met him personally, but I've known him on Facebook for some time, and he's been in NASCAR as a team member for several years and doing different jobs.
But that's really cool. That's just a different aspect of the sim that you wouldn't think could really help a real life participant, I guess you could say, to be able to, you can put yourself anywhere within the track. And if you put yourself where he would really be, it might give you an idea of, what you're going to see. I can think for maybe for road courses would be the same way, especially when one spotter can't see the whole track. Maybe a spotter can say, this is as far as I can see, who can, where would you need to be to see take over for me? You know what I mean?
See, what I was thinking there, Brian, and we've been talking about this before, the one camera that they haven't created yet is the spotter stand camera. Like where if you were spectating or whatever, if you wanted to be a spotter, it'd be awesome if that was an actual clickable camera angle. So
yeah, like when you jump in as a spotter for somebody, I mean, you're probably not going to be as accurate as if you were using some of the other special cams, but it'd certainly be a lot more realistic as a spotter from there.
So they actually do have that at certain tracks. Go check Daytona and you'll see a spotter camera.
Oh, okay. See, I was, and what you were saying, Brian, with the road course. Okay, so I think, was it 4 spotters they were using at COTA? So maybe there's an option when you're in the spotter part. You got, on your numpad or your keyboard or something, you can use 1, 2, 3, and 4, and every time, you can switch between each stand as the race is going, right? So once you lose track of them in one area, you go to the next one, and next one you can still spot. Kind of just making it authentic, right?
I'd love to hear a radio style broadcast where they're all sitting in the turns as well.
Pretty cool.
All right, guys, so this weekend finally is here, the 2021 Knoxville Nationals for iRacing. It's coming up this weekend. You still have until Friday to get in your get in your time slots at 9 o'clock Eastern, and then the Super Sessions will start this Saturday. Top 16 overall points will for the race will be moving on. So if you haven't gotten in yet, go ahead and get your times in, get your races in, and see how it goes.
So I bought the car, but I didn't buy the track, so I'm probably not going to do it. And I have to work Saturday, so. But I encourage everybody to participate, even if you're not one of the ringers. I mean, why not? You know, the Super Session is taking 60 people. I mean, and you got to wonder how many people are actually participating in this event. If let's say there's 200, I mean, to make the top 60, that's not, you know, that's not out of realm. You might be able to do it. Get some luck. Next up is the Grid Finder Paint Festival continues, and prizes include gloves, some really nice racing gloves, and $50 in iRacing credit. And you can come on the show if you want. And all you have to do is put up a paint at gridfinder.com in their livery section and post to social media to iRacers Lounge and Gridfinder. And I put up on the script a couple of entries so far. And talk about, you know, odds, good odds of winning. I mean, with only 2 entries so far, these guys look like they're going to win. You know, 50% chance. I mean, we need some more people to participate is what we need. So please come onto our iRacersLounge.com, find the information you need to enter the contest and enter the paint competition. So we have Rob Jackson 85. He put his livery up on Instagram. It looks like a NASCAR livery. Pretty cool. It was only one picture, so it was kind of hard to tell. And then we had the one on the first week from AJ Power also put one up of a truck, and that one looks really good too. Podcast housekeeping. Don't forget the Aftermath. I don't know what they got going, but check them out. We're still over at Midwest Simulations. I haven't seen anybody get any of those spotlights, but if you want those, you get 10% off with the coupon code iRacers Lounge. We're on the Performance Motorsports Network, and let's talk fantasy.
All right, guys. So Watkins Glen last week, another big day for the Hendrick cars with Kyle Larson with another victory, chasing second. So in fantasy, we have Resdog in the top spot right now. Just in Time 9 is in second, and Oh Baby 44 is in third. Tony Groves is right now is the top Tifosi guy. He's in fifth, and he's coming up. He's working his way towards the top. Probably hasn't used up all of his big names yet. He's really good at staying in the hunt and holding on some of those big name drivers towards the end. So Tony Grove looking good. We got Greg here's in 7th place, not bad at all. Moved up a few spots after Watkins Glen. Jedi McFly, that's Chris Scales is in 12th. He's doing well. G.I. JoJo's in 16th, and they were leading the points for a while earlier in the season.
They've just nosedived, yeah.
Yeah, they really took a hit. Maybe they used up all their good drivers early.
Larson 10 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I'm doing Larson, all Hendrick drivers for the first 10 weeks. Build up a big lead, but it didn't hold up. So, Tyler Williamson's up to 18th, so he's coming up. Tony the Tiger, Tony is in 17th, and I'm in 22nd. So I'm finally in the. I'm trying to get in the top 20 before the end of the season. It was a good race at Watkins Glen. I was looking really good with about 20 laps to go because I had Joe Gibbs and I had Chris Bell. He was way up there, and then it all went to heck after that when Bell got spun. Well, that was his fault, if you ask me. He pinched down Larson too hard in turn 1, but it all kind of fell apart. But I finished 6th for the week, so I was pretty happy with that, despite losing some points there towards the end of the race.
Yeah, Lou Allen was 2nd for the week. Tyler was 4th. You were 6th. G.I. Jojo 8th. Tony was down in 12th. I don't even see my name. 26th. Holy cow.
Brian, it's interesting that you say about that thing with Larson and Bell there going into 1. I agree with some of the assessment on it, but if Bell wants to be mad all he wants, you don't block somebody all the way down to the wall at one point in the race and then expect to be given that kind of space when you finally get it, right? So it was kind of interesting to see, because for me, Larson gave him a break and not pushing him into the corner. For me, I would have just pushed him in the corner. If you're going to throw a block all the way to the wall.
Yeah, I did not like that when he came down the home stretch and just ran him right to the pit lane wall. I wasn't really excited about that move. But yeah, you're right. And we see this in OBRL every week. You race like a jerk, you get raced back like a jerk, and that might have been what happened there.
Those guys race each other on dirt and all kinds of things. You'd think it would have been a little more give and take.
Well, they were saying that too. It's like, these guys it's probably the biggest rivalry between those two, right? Because they're probably at the Knoxville. Are they going to race the Knoxville Nationals this weekend or whenever it's coming up? And then they'll probably both be there, right?
I know Larson is. I'm pretty sure, right? I'm not sure about Bell, but I'm sure he would do well if he shows up. He's an excellent dirt racer.
Hardware, software.
Who likes a good custom button box? Now, I watched the video of this and on Facebook here. I'm really intrigued by this button box because it's kind of almost like everything that I use in my virtual dash. Like obviously in VR I won't be able to do it, but so this is from a company. What's the company's name here?
Rise.
Okay, and anyways, so they're showing it here on the site. So it's I don't know, it's a pretty decent sized button box, but it's got 21. Hold on. It's got 25 inputs with a flag, a gear, opponent's proximity alert display, along with 7 segments for complete customization. It's for $350. But if you're looking at it, it's got all the normal buttons that you normally want. You got some toggles on off. You got the big ignition button, the power button. But I really like the little display it's got for the gear. As the proximity, I thought it was the speed, but it looks like its proximity is in the one top corner there. And then it also shows. It shows where they're coming around. If you're on the left side, right side, it shows all the flags. I think it's really cool design. What do you guys think of the price though for that type thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad, but
I don't think that's crazy expensive for a button box for that style, But it's I do think it's really cool. These are the kind of things that make me wish sometimes that I wasn't in VR, but I love VR way too much to get a button box like that.
Well, I was just thinking, Brian, we run these type of things on our dash and our headsets, right? It's when I have a button box that I just memorize where all my finger inputs need to go to use it, but I never look at it because obviously in VR you're never going to see what you're looking at. But
right,
it kind of reminds me, this button box has kind of got what I have in my dash in the VR.
What's unique about this is the eye flag that's built into it, I think. The display, that's what makes this unique. I mean, it's got the carbon fiber like all of them, and it looks really solid. The buttons look solid, To each its own. There's another button box later in the show I would prefer over this one, though. All right, next up is a do-it-yourself hydraulic kit. And this is put out by simcoaches.com. Now, that's who David got his brakes, his pedals from.
Was this created because of David?
But they sell for $249 a do-it-yourself P1 Pro hydraulic cylinder kit. It comes with everything you need to build your own hydraulic pedals at home. The value behind this kit is our leak-proof slave cylinder. Other big-name slave cylinders on the market are known to leak. That's why we built this. And so they have two styles, brake or clutch. And, looking at the picture and the parts list that comes with it, I mean, it really does give you everything you need to do it. I mean, you would just have to have the actual pedals and the base plate and, all that to go with it.
So could you turn, say like a G25 or what the Logitech ones into a hydraulic setup with these kind of thing? Kind of using the pedals and taking them apart and try something?
Maybe. You'd have to be pretty clever. These things mount, you can see coming out of the hydraulic cylinder, so to speak, a shaft with a round, nut thing on the end. And so obviously that has to attach to the pedal somehow, some way. So, can you do that with like a Logitech pedals? I don't know. I'm not real handy, so I won't be buying that.
Okay, guys. Next up, this one actually came from Steve Thompson and OBRL. We were talking after the race Monday night, and the HP Reverb G2 has a newly redesigned cable that was made for the Omniset, which is their new commercial grade version of the G2. So this Omnicept has a cable that's better, and you can use it on the G2. Originally, when the G2 came out, some people were having some connection issues, especially if you had the AMD. You were running an AMD system. It was really difficult to connect sometimes. You had to do some work on your computer to get it to run properly. Well, this cable will solve all those problems. So it's a new cable that it's designed for this Omnicept headset, but can work with the G2. And what's really cool is you can get that replaced for free. I watched the video on it from MRTV. That's a YouTube channel. That's a mixed reality television, and they go over the process of how you can call HP help desk and basically go through your situation if you had any kind of issues connecting, and they will ship you this cable for free. Or if you haven't had any issues and you want to spare, you can actually buy the cable outright. So I think I looked it up from HP. It's a $90 cable. But if you call them up and tell them you've been having issues with yours or connection problems, they will send this to you for free. So the best way I could tell you to do is easiest way is to watch the YouTube video. Again, it's on MRTV's YouTube channel, and Sebastian is the host, and he will show you how that's done.
Pretty cool. Have you had that issue at all with yours, or?
Yes, if you remember a couple of months ago, I had to send my headset back. It was a connection issue. I got a new cable, but it was the old style cable, and it worked. I got the old cable, but this is something that might be reoccurring. I think I'm going to wind up calling and see if I can get it replaced. I know Steve said he's ordered a new one. He runs a G2, so he's got one coming too.
Makes sense if you have a problem. So maybe be proactive with it if they will let you.
Yep.
So the next product we have here, is it Technosis on YouTube?
Technosis.
Technosis. posted a review of the SimMagic Alpha Mini. Is this kind of like the, it's a minier version of like the direct drive wheels from Fanatics doing? So their version.
CSL. The CSL DD.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I haven't got much through this video, but it looks like a very solid setup from the SimMagic here. He just goes through it and shows you all about it, and then goes through some of the software for it. I'm not too familiar on the software from SimMagic's side. Using it, I don't even know if we know anybody that uses SimMagic hardware here at all, but it looks like it's a very good wheel to use, or a good base to have. Did you happen to watch this, Mike or Brian?
I did. This is that Hong Kong wheel, and there is U.S. distribution now. We've talked about that before. And this is their version that is the competition to that CSL DD.
It looks like it's pretty sturdy and gives good feedback from what they're going through here with it.
So they have the Alpha base, and they have the M10 direct drive, and this is what's called the Alpha Mini. Now, I was looking on their website trying to find the information on it, and I'm not really finding it. But I think this was if I recall, we talked about this maybe a month ago, and this particular unit was available like as a special. It wasn't like a permanent item that was available on their website. It was like a order now, special offer kind of thing. But if you're ordering a CSL DD, they're back ordered. In fact, 2 of our teammates have recently ordered these. I think Tyler got one, right? And then Tom bought one as well. And Tom said he's not getting his till November.
Yeah, that's what Tyler told me too. He said maybe October, probably November.
And that's if everything goes okay. Like, it's still up in the air if it's going to even be then, probably. I mean, everything's slowed down with production on every electronic nowadays.
And so I found the price finally. It's $800 for this wheel base, and doesn't include the actual wheel.
So it's really not in competition with that. The price point isn't in competition with that.
I guess it isn't.
Yeah, it's closer to VRS's wheel price or base.
And it's just under the DD1s, right?
Now maybe I'm on a distributor that's charging more than others, but that's what I see when I searched it.
Speaking of price, Mike, what do we got here from Thrustmaster?
Yeah, we just got a out of the blue social media post from Thrustmaster last week to inform you that a price increase will be applied starting this summer and in September with respect to many of our products. We regret having to make this announcement and will endeavor to limit the price increases so that they will impact you as little as possible. The pandemic has now had other effects, including a shortage of components, disorganization in terms of worldwide supply networks, and disruptions in transport chains. All of these breakdowns have resulted in increases with regard to all cost in the creation and production phases for our products. It is important to us to respect our values, and we will continue to offer you all of our product lines with an emphasis on maintaining quality, ongoing innovation, ensuring that all aspects of our operations run smoothly. Thrustmaster.
It makes me wonder if this statement was really even necessary. I mean, what's not going up through the roof price-wise lately, especially when it comes to electronics and components? It's nice that they put this out, and I think most of the customers and the buyers out there would be kind of understanding, just because they're not by far the only ones that are having issues like this that are causing price increases.
You're right. I mean, it's just bad press. I mean, why would you even put it out there? I mean, nobody's even going to notice that the price has increased. You know what I mean? And like us, like we talk about hardware literally every week, and we probably wouldn't even have noticed.
I was going to say, go further. Do you remember what a Big Mac cost before the pandemic and what it'll cost now? Like they increase those by like 10 cents at a time, and you don't even know they're doing it.
I can remember what gas cost before and after. But...
Yeah, see? But that one we're always pissed about. No matter what, you're always pissed about gas. Gas and taxes.
Okay, guys, this next one is AP Extreme G-Sense Active Restraints. So it's a haptic seatbelt tensioning system. It's actually from Tech. So it's a little different than the style like the G-Belt is, where the G-Belt has like rollers that mount directly behind your chair. This one has like little pistons that the seatbelts go over your shoulders, through the seat and down to the base of the seat, and that these pistons like move up and down, and that's where you create your haptic feedback on your seatbelts. Couple things that stood out to me was, first of all, one of the things I really like about the G-Belt is that it mounts directly behind your shoulders, so it's pulling like straight back on your shoulders. It's not looping over and down. I'd be surprised if you get a good sensation when it's pulling down from underneath the seat. It's just more friction, more things to
friction,
more dampening as it goes through. So that's one of the things I noticed. The G-Belt, if you have a seat that's not like a G seat or one that you can mount the G-Belt to, it actually has a connection at the bottom of the seat that would do the same thing as this. And I just don't think to me, it doesn't seem like it would be quite as responsive as the one that's directly behind you, pulling straight back. And the other thing is the price. This thing's running $3,080, which is really, that's 3 times the price of a G-Belt. So that seems a little high to me. I mean, I know Rick Vertex does good stuff, makes really quality stuff, but I don't know if I would be able to justify 3 times as much as a G-Belt for that.
I agree. I mean, I saw this and I'm like, oh yeah, this is awesome. But the price, I was just shocked by the price. I mean, this is not worth that price. But Rick Motec has had pricing like that on other stuff. I mean, look at their brakes, $1,800 or something for their pedals.
I mean, obviously someone's buying it if they're pricing it that way, right? They're making money if they keep making stuff, right? The other thing too, Brian, the way you're talking about the way that the belts mount, I think years ago, I think in racing you're not allowed to mount belts like that anyways. They mount gotta mount straight out the back in actual racing, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there, but I remember with accidents having them down at low and pulling down on your shoulders, it was causing problems. There's a certain way that they had to be mounted now to be certified, but obviously it doesn't matter in a sim rig. But it's definitely an interesting option for these pull down belts. I would love one day to actually get in one of these and see how this stuff actually feels.
It's pretty cool.
Speaking of pretty cool here, Frex developed a new 4.3 LCD dash connected to PC by a cable and a quick release adapter for the steering wheel. I think this is really interesting product here. I don't know, Mike, you use a cell phone, right, for your kind of a dash?
Yep.
Like, what do you think of something like this instead of your cell phone that you would have had? Like, it's pretty cool to have, mounted to. Obviously, they're taking it out of their. Didn't they have rims that had it in it? So this is kind of just moving it so you can have it part of your dash assembly. But it's got all the stuff with the software, and it works really. It looks like it works really well.
I mean, this is a raw display. You can see the ribbon cable. When he turns it sideways, you can see the circuitry on the back. And so it's really the piece that needs to be installed into a wheel or some kind of plastic dash piece or something. It's not a complete piece, but I think what's neat about it too is his quick release adapter is really what he's talking about. He takes his USB, he unplugs it, he plugs it right back in, boom, data comes right back up. There's no having to, reconnect or hit refresh. It's all seamless. There's no browser. With my cell phone, I have to bring up Google Chrome, and then I have to go full screen, and I have to make sure it's plugged in, and there's all these little things I have to do to make it right. With this, it's plug and play.
I just think it's a great option for anybody out there. Obviously, they don't have any price for this yet either, do they? But Frex seems to be in development of a lot of stuff. They seem to be ones we're talking about every couple weeks now.
Very cutting edge for sure. Now this one, Greg, I sent you last night a picture of, and I told you it's a big rig cockpit. And it's really a go-kart cockpit. Was this the one that looked like a go-kart?
Yeah, it's the go-kart one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how
flat, so to speak.
It's so low to the ground. I don't know. It's hard to tell in the picture about that seat. Like, if you describe it here, you would come up with, it's basically an 80/20 rig with the wheel is kind of, I guess it's more pointing to the ceiling on it too, right? It's facing upwards towards your face.
That's what I mean, flat. It's almost like a big rig where the wheel is not like in front of me, like vertically. It's like almost flat horizontally.
Yeah, and obviously it looks like it's got the column between your leg. It goes between your legs, so your legs go around on each side. The bucket seat, I don't know about this type of seat. Like, I feel like there's no shoulder support. It is like a go-kart. There is no shoulder support.
That's exactly what it's like, Greg. It's just like a go-kart. Even the wheel is up on an angle like that in a lot of go-karts. But yeah, it's a 2-pedal system too, so there's no clutch or anything. But it's interesting design. But man, if you don't like things between your legs, like the play seats do on some of those, this thing is like really wide. It's gonna be interesting.
Careful, or that'll become a soundbite. What you just said there. I contribute this sim rig. This is more like this has got to be a sprinting sim rig. You don't sit in this rig for hours. I don't think you don't run an endurance race in this type of thing. I just can't see being comfortable.
So they even call it the OR21 kart simulator. I'm kind of wondering, is there racing software out there that is kart racing?
There's a kart racing software. So I'm wondering if it's built purposely for that. I think it's called Kart Racer or something like that. That's out. It came out a couple years ago.
So yeah, if you like that kind of angle on the wheel, I've never seen such an extreme angle. But it's unique, that's for sure.
It doesn't look like is there much flexibility in the way that angle is at? Like, if you're 6'5" or 5'5", what's the can it be different while you're sitting in it?
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look comfortable. I mean, the seat, especially because it only goes up to the middle of your back, you know? It's just odd.
I couldn't see like someone like David on our team whose upper body is built so big trying to sit in that. I mean, he'd hang over the edge of it with his muscular half, right?
All right, we're going to move on to results. Let's talk NASCAR iRacing Series. Finish up last week. Watkins Glen. I can't believe it, guys. P4 Friday in the open for me. I started like 11th. I spun once trying to avoid a stopped car, but kept it going. I can't believe I got a P4 at a road course. But I keep surprising myself with these finishes at road courses. And I just don't even know what to say. But man, what a great run. David Hall, he wrecked out. He said a spinning car doesn't know how to hold the brakes. I think luckily it was pretty early in the race, and he went on to run something else. Sunday Open, I don't think anybody ran at all.
I did.
Did you? What'd you get?
That was the P5 in top split. I was chasing down fourth so that I could tie your fourth place, and I finished fifth in the top split there. It was that was probably one of my hardest fought runs too, because I was battling with somebody I want to say I was battling with those guys for probably 90% of the race.
Nice run. And so that means I had the best finish of the team for Watkins Glen for the week. Unbelievable. I beat Tony. All right, and then Sunday fixed, I ran. I can't believe I even did. P14. Started 19th. I got as high up as 13th. But everyone in front of me, you know, 1st through 12th was literally faster than me. And so they had gapped me and were pulling away. And so there was it was boring. I mean, because I knew I wasn't going to catch them. And the fixed set just sucked. I mean, compared to the open, it was so much slower. All right, let's move on to the Brickyard 400. Oh, wait. I mean, crap, another road course. And we'll start with you, Greg, P9.
We hopped in, I think, Mike, you and I hopped in about the same time to start practice. And I know David and Tony were in there, and the four of us raced. But I didn't know what to expect in that race. I was in the top split with David, and I was pretty fast for it. Just some other guys had more speed. I was better on the long run than in the short run, but definitely an interesting configuration. I missed the actual oval. I like the road course, but I rather be doing the oval this week. It's interesting to run the road. It'll be good to do it the one time. I just hope it's not common here.
Yeah, this was literally my first laps on the track. I've never run the configuration before. I did get in a little early. Looked really bad from practice, but as usual, when I get in the race, I do fairly well. I ended up P16. It was not too bad. It was better than I thought it would be. I did have a couple of self spins that did put me back. 16X, I almost got the drive through. One more and I would have had the drive through. And man, I just don't like the track. I mean, I think it's hard to, there's no visual breaking points on a lot of these corners. They're very flat. It's hard to see out of these cars. I don't know. I just didn't like it. It doesn't even feel like NIS anymore because we're running all these stupid road courses. I don't know. I just wasn't happy. And then Tony Rochette, P5. The 2021 Tifosi NIS Road King is back, overcoming the odds and adversity. This track sucks. It needs to be an oval. Hashtag not my Brickyard. And then David didn't even put down his results. I think it was 16th.
It was something close to that. I don't remember either. I know David. I don't know if he was having too much fun in that race either. I almost took him out spinning down towards pit road too. I remember that was one of the incidents. He had to pit, and I kind of had a little screw up there after I came out of the pits. But thankfully, we stayed away from each other.
All right, and then I want redemption, so I ran today, the Thursday Open, and I wrecked out. Lap 1, I spun. It was kind of on I had a good qualifying, actually, and actually put up my best lap ever in qualifying. I think I was, I don't know, 9th or something, maybe 8th. But then I spun on the first lap. I fell to the back, basically. Was okay, and then on lap 2, I was, I guess, too aggressive trying to get into one and kind of overcooked it and plowed into somebody else, and I had damage, and then as I came around to the end of the lap, I ended up wrecking again down, coming up onto the oval. And when you wreck right there, I mean, you wreck. I mean, usually destroy the car, and I did, and I just parked it, man. I was done. I jumped out of the race on lap 2 and ran away embarrassed. So I don't know how I can have good runs like P4 at Watkins Glen, P4 at the 4 hours of, or P2 at 4 hours of Charlotte, but then I get here to Indy and I just suck. I can't even get around the track.
Practice.
It's true. I do know those other tracks quite a bit better. Let's keep going. 24-hour of Monza. David ran. He hopped on with another team that was short a driver. He said another driver had some technical issues with freezes, but ultimately in that top split, that was probably our pace, and they got a P5. So nice top 5. Greg, you got a P4 at Road America.
Yeah, David and I hopped in a GTE GTE race with it for Imsa there last week, and I just did a couple laps beforehand and went out and just kept it on the track and finished P4. I don't really remember much from that, but I love driving those GTE cars, and I think it's definitely a series that helps me run better with some of the other oval stuff that we do, or the road that we do.
All right, let's jump to Fast Track Sim Racing League Monday night. Watkins Glen wrecked out. I actually started in the back. I didn't want to, but I came in late apparently, so they gave me an EOL.
You mean your normal EOL?
Yeah, but I started. I worked my way up quite a bit. I think it was 24 cars, maybe. I don't know. But I was 13th. This was my highest I got up to.
I think you said that you passed the most. You think you passed the most cars in that whole race by the end of it?
Right, because I got myself up to 13th, and then I choked and spun or something, and then I had to pass some more cars. But yeah, I definitely felt like I passed more people than anyone else. Because the guys that were up front, like you guys stayed up front, you know.
We drove away from the front.
Right. And so, it was fun, but I choked. I just implode after a certain point. You know, I don't know what it is, but you'd think after running all these laps at Watkins Glen and we get to this, league race, I'm going to have it down pat. But I've actually run worse on Monday night than I did earlier in the week.
I just think that's chalked up to the talent that we race with too on some of those nights too, Mike. Like in NIS, you're kind of around all the stuff that's around the same I rating as you and incident ratings and things like that. Whereas in the league, it's so diverse, right? You have the strong guys, and then there is other guys that just are in there, you know, having fun and doing their thing, and especially on a road course, the guys on the fast track, you can see it. They hate the road courses. It's really going to be a multitude of different skill sets when you have no passion for it too, right?
All right, and then you got P2.
Yeah, not too happy about that, but Tyler and I had, well, the first part of the race, the one thing that was different this time for this road course too, Mike, that we forgot to talk about is they put a caution at halfway. And with doing that, it kind of threw out any strategy or any short pitting. Like I short pitted it, and Tyler didn't. Both him and I were running away from the field. The first half of the race, I didn't even try real hard because, you know, we knew a caution was coming, so it didn't really matter. I was in second place, you know, 10 seconds up on third, so there was no threat. So I went down pit road before the caution came out, so that and then drove around really slowly. And when the caution came out, I ended up starting in the front, and I thought some more people would do that strategy so that Tyler would kind of get shuffled back and I could maybe get away from him. But not everybody came down. Even after that, they came down again. So then Tyler and I had the last 20 laps. We had a battle for the lead as we were pulling away. And I think I still haven't got a chance to go through the video, but I would say 10 of those laps, Tyler was pushing me through the bus stop and the carousel, kind of reminiscent of what was going on in that Coke race. He actually got me twice in the carousel, and I kept it going and on it. But one last time, I think he said he missed his brake marker with like 5 to go in the bus stop, and he pushed me through the bus stop, and I had no way of getting out of it properly because I ended up going through the grass. And when you exit it through the grass, it gives you a 2-second penalty, so I had to slow down. I started running him back down because I was mad, because if I would have got to him, I probably would have done worse than what Christopher Bell got at Watkins Glen. But I ended up making a mistake. I touched the grass a little bit, and that was it, and I finished second. So I'll take it, but that might not be the first time that I see Tyler in front of me. Next time it might not go the same way.
All right. And then David, I don't know what his result was.
Didn't he? I think he had an accident in the race and eventually left. Or I don't even remember if he finished
and then
it.
Tony was there.
Because we had Joe, Bobby was in there.
Oh, yeah, Joe was there and Bobby. The caution thing, I want to mention that too. I also short pitted thinking, oh man, that's the way to go. But I was not up front. I was back in 13th. And when it all shook out, I actually was a lucky dog. And I didn't beat the leaders out after, and basically I had a leader in front of me, and I lost a lap during the whole thing. So it kind of sucked. I wish I would have probably not done that. I would have definitely not lost all that track position, because I think I fell from like 13th to 17th or something because of that. And it really put me back.
Well, that's why you pass so many cars, right?
If I lose a lap.
Well, I mean, it's, at a place like Watkins Glen, if you're half a lap down, you're probably going to lose a lap. And Tyler and I had so much more pace than a lot of the guys. We kind of put a pretty big gap early on a lot of that field.
All right, so let's keep moving. I ran hosted this week, and it was called Child Car. That's what he called it. But the guy, Childhouse, he hosted a bunch of events in a row one night. He put it up on Twitter, said pile in, and people did. It was full rooms every time. I think one of my teammates, Steven Llewellyn, ran a couple of these with me. But first, it was Kia at Vegas, the Kia at the Vegas Oval. And what a combination, guys. It is super, super fun. The tires are just squealing. I started 21st. Like when I got in the room, they were gridding. Had no practice. I ended up P2. I almost won the dang thing. And that was a blast. And so then right after that, we did Formula V at Southern National. Now, the room filled up so quick that I couldn't get in. So I didn't want to miss it, so I ghosted the room and at least tried the combination of the car and the track. And it's pretty fun to drive. The next one, Pro Mazdas at Eldora. We've tried this before with the track very well used. It works out pretty good with those Pro Mazda open wheel cars. I think I ended up wrecked. I didn't get my results. And then finally, we ran the old trucks at the Old Phoenix, and that was also a blast, and I got wrecked out. But shout out to David Schaldhaus for hosting those events. If you guys want to have some fun, check those combos out. Those are great combos. Okay, OBRL, Brian, P11.
Yeah, so we were at Michigan in the ARCA series. Started in P7. It wasn't too bad qualifying. I think we had 32 cars Monday night. I stayed in the top 10. Really was fighting for position to get into the top 5 when we had a green flag pit stop with like about 25 to go. So it was going to be the last stop of the race if we didn't have any cautions. And man, if I didn't overshoot my pit stall and had to back up, and by the time I got back out on the track, man, I dropped all the way to 15th and managed to work my way up to 11th, but that's as far as I could get. So it was my first race back after getting my rig put back together, and it was a good race. 2 cautions early and green the rest of the way through. It's a typical OBRL race where it's good clean racing.
All right, very good. And then OBRL Aftermath Truck Series at Indy Oval. Steve Thompson, the winner. Andrew Hess, second. Josh Robinson, third. Okay, and let's go to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
Well, finally got everything put back together. The G seat is really cool. It gives a lot of inputs. It's by far, it gives you the most force as far as input goes. Really, I have to dial it in a little bit better, I think, to get it right where I want it. But some people said that they don't feel the motion with it, but I think it works all together really well. And it's a really good experience. I really can't praise it enough as being a great feedback type of system. So yeah, great. It was a good purchase, I'd say.
All right. And what about if you're sitting in it a long time? You're gonna feel comfortable, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I did like about an hour and a half of practice at OBRL and then a 100-lap race or 90-lap race at Michigan. I didn't have any issues with comfort. I saw some videos where people put a little extra padding under the seat, but I didn't seem to need anything like that. It was good for me.
Very good. All right. Well, I hope you enjoy. Greg Hectus, final thoughts.
I'm just looking forward to getting a couple more starts at Indy this week. I'm almost at the 2,000 mark for my road rating, so I'm hoping that the Indy races and running some of the Red Bull Ring with some of the other cars this week will help me get there. Yeah, it's not much. I know on Monday night next week we're running Fast Track. They're going to actually do the Indy Oval instead of actually doing the road. which will be interesting to see
Thank God.
how we can find something that works there for us. I'm gonna test a little bit with some of the setups this weekend and see if anything works. I don't know if Dave has got a chance yet to see how they work yet, but I might be the only one running road this weekend because everybody else hates that track, and I don't know if there's gonna be. Are you gonna try and run another? Are you gonna run Friday night, Mike?
Yeah, I still need a top 10, so I'm gonna try again. But I'm not happy with this track either.
Something doesn't feel. I thought I'd feel something about it. Like I like running Watkins Glen. I feel something when I run that track and Sonoma and some of the tracks. It's just there's something about it. It just doesn't seem right.
There's no visual cues anywhere. I mean, the whole thing's flat, and I don't know. It's just hard to see anything.
It's an out of date scan for it too, right?
Yeah, I believe it is. And I think we talked last week. They have a scan in the can waiting to be updated.
Yeah.
All right. My final thoughts. Breaking news. I see on the messenger that Chris Scales has bought a direct drive wheel. He got himself the AccuForce V2. So congratulations to Chris. Nice choice. And my final thoughts, I hope NASCAR is hearing me about the car, about the road course racing. Man, it's just going a little too far, man. They need to back off the road course stuff. It's just too much. I mean, there's no reason in the world we should be running the Indy road course. We should be on the oval. And I know the oval kind of sucks in a NASCAR, but still, this is worse. I mean, like I said, the track's not fun. We'll see how the race looks on TV on NBC, but I'm not expecting a lot. As far as my racing goes, it's really mixed emotions about it. Sometimes I get a good result, and lots of times I don't. Like this morning, I was embarrassed. I mean, I just parked it. I wasn't even going to try to go out there and run after wrecking twice in 2 laps. And, after the 16th the night before, I thought I could, get out there and not make any mistakes. But, boy, I was wrong. But you know what? If they said it was easy, nobody'd do it. So we'll see you out on the track later.